Guys, welcome back to the Independent Investor Channel. My name is Ryan. If nothing else over the last couple weeks has really opened your eyes to the importance of recognizing how volatile the stock market can get, you know, this is where the passive investors really went out. They're sitting back and it's on autopilot, man. You don't have to do anything. If the market's going to go down 500 points one day, or if it's going to go up 500 points one day, you're really in it for the long term, all right? Investing passively is something that I recommend to all new investors, especially up to the first $10,000 of invested capital that you have to work with. Where is it that you can go to get those products? And there's a lot of different investing options for you guys. You can pick up a lot of different ideas with, you know, S&P 500 ETFs, things like that, total market ETFs. And that's why I tend to try to stick a little bit close to what is offered on the Vanguard page. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to walk you through a very, very important exercise in the Vanguard website. And I'm going to take you guys step by step in understanding how one single fund can have multiple product offerings. All right, and we're going to differentiate between the ETF, we're going to differentiate between the Admiral shares, and we're going to differentiate between the investor shares. And I'm going to show you where you can kind of see all this information for yourself, make you that much stronger in understanding why it is we may opt for an ETF. Pay particular attention to the expense ratios that I identify within the Vanguard website. More importantly, pay attention to where you can find this information for yourself. When we talk about empowering individual investors, you really need to understand where this information comes from, understand why you would opt for an index fund over an ETF, or why I recommend an ETF more often than not because of the lower expenses. I'm going to show you where all that information comes from. So without further ado, I'm going to drop you into the Vanguard's website and I'm going to take you through step by step. For you guys that are new to the Independent Investor Channel, prepare to have your eyes opened. I'm going to show you really the skeleton key within Vanguard to show you guys a whole nother world of information on making very, very astute, sound, and smart decisions in picking your passive investment options in your portfolio. Guys, I'm going to kick you into Vanguard. Please enjoy the video. I really want to walk you through this explanation, especially for a lot of the new folks that are on the Independent Investor Channel who haven't had a chance to view my index fund versus ETFs video, and I'm just going to show you what the key takeaway is. And just, you guys go on the Vanguard website and I'll walk you through this. You'll see the tab, the third one over, the investing tab, and you're going to want to click on that and come over to the left hand column and click on Vanguard ETFs. You can do this for any other funds, and about halfway down the page there, you're going to see browse a list of all Vanguard ETFs. You guys can see I'm hovering over here. Click on that, and that's where you're going to get into what I consider the investment shopping mall, basically, for passive investors. Any one of these funds, I really like them. At the top here, you're going to see the fixed equities, the bond ETFs on the top with your corporate and your treasuries mixture, but we're going to talk about that at a different time. I want you guys to kind of make your way down to the US stock ETFs, and a lot of these are going to, you guys are going to recognize a lot of these offerings here, and where I'm hovering the VOO and the VTI. For the sake of this example, I really want to use VTI as an example here of what you can really understand about Vanguard in basically less than a few minute video on YouTube, and this is really a key takeaway for you guys. So I'm just going to walk you through this my thought process and what you really need to take away from the Vanguard website, getting into the weeds here a little bit. But if you guys are new investors and you've never been on the Vanguard website, just kind of follow along with me, and I want to walk you through this process so you kind of understand. But like I said, we're going to use VTI here, so if I click into it, you're going to find just a host of information on the offering here. Now I want you to kind of think about VTI as a product that Vanguard has wrapped together and offered in way of an ETF, okay? And that's going to become very important as I demonstrate this example on how they roll these different products into different forms, you know, to offer different products to different clients that may have different needs, okay? So we're in the VTI screen here, and it's going to give you all the facts about the ETF. And the facts that I want to bring your attention to, which are going to be used for comparison later, is this 0.04 here, and then 96% lower than the average expense ratio of funds with similar holdings, okay? So the holdings that are in this ETF, you can see it's performed quite well, tripled, in fact, since 2008. But if you cruise down here, their top 10 holdings, you're going to recognize all of these names. But I want you to kind of just browse through here and just get an idea of what their top holdings are within this ETF. Now, why am I showing you this? The kicker behind me showing you this is to really understand. I get hit with this question all the time. Should I buy an index fund, or should I buy VTI, or should I, get into the Admiral shares? Which one is better? And I'm showing you the best one right away, okay? And you'll notice here, this is a real takeaway from this website. This is the real nuts and bolts of this website. This is how it's broke down, where it says also available as Admiral shares and investor shares mutual fund, okay? So basically they're taking this exact same group of holdings here and formulating those group of holdings into a different product, okay? And the first product, you guys are aware of it. If you're not, I'm going to click in here and show you the Admiral shares. Now the Admiral shares, before I come up here and talk about the fund facts, you'll see here that they're the exact same holdings. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Berkshire Hathaway, and so on, okay? But the kicker is that some of the facts are similar in that the expense is similar, and it is 96% lower than other funds with similar holdings, of course, so it's the exact same as the ETF. The only difference in this is that it's an index fund and it's going to trade after hours. You're not going to have the freedom and flexibility to invest in the like you do in the ETF during market hours here. It's traded under the ticker symbol VTSAX. Very popular product offering through Vanguard. But the kicker here is that it's got a $10,000 minimum. And for a lot of first-time investors, a lot of you guys are looking to build up to that first $10,000, and that can be, rather steep. The other drawback to this Admiral share is that you have to have this $10,000 minimum in Vanguard. You can't just invest in this Admiral share anywhere on the market. Whereas the VTI, you can invest in that ETF in Charles Schwab, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Bank of America, Merrill Edge. Wherever you choose, you can hold that ETF, whereas this Admiral shares account does not allow you to do that. This is basically their flagship account, and it requires you to hold a Vanguard account to invest in this product. And I want you guys to think about the Admiral shares as a product. So I want to show you this final product that they offer here. Now remember, this is all the exact same holdings, just kind of rolled up into a different product offering for different customers. And this is the last fund, basically, that they offer. And what the first thing you'll notice here at the top under the fund facts is that it does carry a higher expense ratio, and it's actually less attractive when compared to the products of similar holdings, right? The ironic part is if you scroll down here and you look at the holdings, they're exactly the same. So what Vanguard has done basically is they've taken a fund basically, and they've taken those holdings and they've morphed those holdings into different product offerings through the Admiral shares and through the ETF and through the investor shares, that of which you're looking at now. Now, the investor shares carry with it a minimum to invest of $3,000, and unlike the Admiral shares, you can actually invest in these investor shares in any other brokerage account. You don't have to go with Vanguard to enjoy this. Unfortunately, you're going to have to pay a higher expense ratio to hold this VTSMX to get exposure to the exact same holdings. Why do I show you guys this?
The reason I show you guys this is if you compare these three funds across the board and then get in a little bit deeper and understand each and every one of the products, I think you can identify for yourself some of the disadvantages of both the investor shares here with the higher expense ratio. It does have a minimum, unlike the ETF. So, you know, they're saying basically that you can invest in this, you can hold it in another account, but you still have to have this minimum in there. And for a lot of new investors, that can be problematic as well. A lot of new investors may just have $1,000. You're going to be ineligible to invest in the investor shares, and I think that's a real drawback to these investor shares, having this, you know, minimum to entry and plus the higher expense ratio. I mean, you know, this is more than 3 times the cost of just buying the underlying ETF, which has the exact same holdings in that account. And this is really the why I recommend the underlying ETF. If you're going to look for passive exposure to any one of these good names here represented in the top 10 holdings. Now you can see the rest of the holdings if you want. This page, this analytics page, will show you all kinds of great information. But this is really why I wanted to walk you through this exercise to differentiate between these product offerings where the underlying holdings are all exactly the same here. As demonstrated, and you can see that you can enjoy this low expense ratio with no limited, no amount to enter this ETF, and you can enjoy and have the freedom to buy the VTI in any account that you guys have. So I'm going to kick you back over to YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this. I thought it was prudent to kind of walk you through this exercise in Vanguard to show some of you new investors why it is. And you can do this with any fund that Vanguard offers. You can do it with any one of them. Any of their ETFs you can do. Any of their index funds, you can check the comparable funds. And this right here is the skeleton key to the Vanguard's website to really understand how they break a very, very similar, if not an exact same fund into different products to cover a larger spectrum of potential investors out there. So I'll kick you back over to YouTube, guys. I hope you enjoyed.
All right, so we've come back out of the Vanguard's website. I really hope you enjoyed me just walking you through the information that you've got to have exposure to in picking up the products and choosing those products to go into your self-directed Roth IRA accounts. If you're just starting in the stock market, you guys have had a real eye-opener in saying, man, I don't even know if I want to become part of this, you know? You guys know I have a pretty big stock holding, and, you know, with risk comes reward. And I'm willing to take on that level of risk to seek out that reward. But for new investors that are just looking to get exposure, become a participant in the stock market, remember what we're trying to do. We're trying to grab the greatest amount of diversified exposure, which those Vanguard products that I showed you the details on will indeed get you that. I want to put you into that upper 90th percentile for the lowest fees in the industry. And if we take those products and we set them free to liberate them inside of a self-directed Roth IRA account, you're going to put those passive investment options to work, and they're going to be able to grow unobstructed over time. So I really hope you enjoyed that offering, and hopefully you guys got some benefit out of it. If you've never seen that comparison between the ETF, Admiral shares, and investor shares, right, and the positive and negatives of each of those product offerings, I really think that you got a lot of benefit out of seeing that exercise if you didn't realize that was available through the Vanguard site to determine and separate between those 3 product offerings. So guys, if it is your first time tuning into the Independent Investor channel, hit the subscribe button for us, man. Help us subscribe, help us, support this message that we're trying to put through. We're trying to walk through the fundamentals for new investors, show them what account to invest in, show them, as I've done in this video, exactly where you can find these wonderful product offerings. And make no mistake, guys, I'm streamlining a lot of this information to you. Go on and validate it for yourself, but there is an absolute reason why I don't deviate too far from Vanguard. I want to put the very best product in your guys' hands right away without a lot of finagling back and forth. So leave your ideas and comments in the comments section. I'll read through those. Share this message with anybody that you know is looking to get involved in the stock market. This information is vital. You want to put those guys in the upper echelon of product offerings, and Vanguard hits the mark and will absolutely get you that right exposure, that diversified exposure at the lowest cost to entry. And it's very, very important to get new investors started off on the right foot, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in, and good luck in your investment future.